Well, Dominic Ferris is about to be doing a very special concert at Hurstpier College, and we're going to talk to him about what he's up to, where he's been. We know he's certainly been collaborating with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra for a long time, sold over 3 million albums worldwide, which is not bad for a young lad. You've been out and about a lot recently, haven't you?
It's been a busy start to the year, yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, this concert sort of come at a time when I haven't played in my hometown for a long, long time. Well, I say my hometown, my home county. So it's nice to be making a little return to Sussex. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So this is at Hurstpier College. What's it all about? What's it in aid of?
So Hurst is the college that I used to go to between the ages of 13 and 18, and before that I went to a school called St Christopher's, which is in Hove. But Hurst was a wonderful school for me, and I had some wonderful mentors there. So I thought we'd go back, and this is a charity concert for the St Peter and the St James Hospice and the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. And it was the Rotary Club, the Lewis Barbican Rotary Club, approached me and said, we want to do a concert, will you come and do it? We need a venue in Sussex. So I thought, well, why don't we go back to Hurst? Because they've just built this brand new theatre, which is a beautiful, beautiful building. The old one was a little bit worse for wear. So I went to see a production there, one of the school productions last year, and was very, very impressed with the new venue. So I thought, well, why don't we do it there? So that's where we're going to do it.
I mean, your musical career, I mean, I remember you when you were very, very young. In fact, so young, I knew you when you were still a bump, so it was before you were born. But, I mean, you've been performing almost, since the age of 2 or 3?
Yeah, I mean, my mum, Gloria Macari, took me out on the road when I was very young, and I used to play piano in her shows, and I used to play by ear when I was very young. I used to just listen to music and be able to play it, and then I started a more formal piano training when I was about sort of 13, 14, and then went to train classically at the Royal College of Music, and then since then been doing all sorts of diverse work, really, from recording with orchestras to recording with pop artists, and also doing my own shows as well.
Uh-huh. I mean, you've got a bit of a double act going as well at times. In fact, you've got 2 double acts.
I do have 2 double acts. One of them is the Piano Brothers, which is a piano duo. Most of our touring is over in Asia, in Singapore, and with Elwyn, who lives over there. And the other one is Ferris and Milnes with Martin Milnes. Now, Martin is actually going to be appearing in this show on Saturday night. We're going to be doing some classic Ferris and Milnes mashups. We do these crazy musical theatre mashups, like the entire score of West Side Story in 8 minutes, and 30 Gershwin numbers in 6 minutes. I don't think we'll be able to fit them all in, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try.
But you've taken that show all over the world, haven't you? You did it in New York, you've done it in London, all over the place.
Well, interesting. I mean, musical theatre, the epicentres are very much London and New York, and we did go over to New York quite a few times a couple of years ago. But there's a busy patch of Ferris and Milne shows coming up now. We're going off to do some shows in around the UK after this gig. But it's always nice to share the stage with Martin. He's I don't think I've quite met a performer like him. He's very unpredictable but fantastic at the same time.
Now, Steinway Pianos has a very close part to your heart, I guess, these days. How did you get involved with Steinway?
Steinway? Well, Steinway and I are like family now. I mean, we've had about a 7 or 8 year relationship, and it came about because I was asked to play at the international press launch of the royal wedding of Will and Kate at Lancaster House about 8 years ago, and Steinway were there, and I went straight over to them and said, like, I love your pianos, and they came over and said, we love your playing, and I said, well, thank you very, very much, it's very kind of you, why don't we meet for coffee? and I went to their showroom, and you know, those pianos you can do anything with. Just last week, actually, I was in Hamburg at the factory where they actually make the pianos, and it's absolutely fascinating to see these workers putting so much love and passion into the way that they build these instruments. So whenever I can, I take a Steinway on stage with me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And do you travel the world sort of demonstrating Steinway pianos, or you just got the name Steinway Brothers for, you know, just as a publicity stunt?
No, we do. I do. I mean, Steinway, you know, that they seem to keep ringing me and asking me to do events whenever they're launching a new piano. They have various new models and designs, these special limited edition pianos. So whenever one comes out, generally I get a phone call and they say, will you come and demo it for us? And I think that's because a lot of my playing, a lot of my arrangements are of more popular songs that the general audience can relate to. Just last week in Hamburg was the most recent one, and hopefully there'll be more later this year.
Well, people could probably be confused and try and put you into a sort of category, but your music covers everything. I mean, you've done a bit of rock and roll. Your parents have been involved with rock and roll since the 50s. You yourself are very much classically trained, as you said. Where do you see yourself in the future? future, and what do you actually want to do?
I think you've got to be diverse in this day and age. You can't just be, just do one thing, especially classical, because you think of all the people that are training at conservatoires worldwide. There's not enough space in the market for everyone, so you've got to be diverse. You've got to cross different genres: pop, musical theatre, jazz, classical, and sort of turn your hand to anything. And I think that means that you can sort of dip into these different genres. Just like the acts we spoke about, Ferris and Milnes is very, very musical theatre. Piano Brothers is more popular music. But the classical foundation does really help, because it means that you've got that technique that underpins everything. And then on top of that, you sort of put all these different guises, I suppose, on top,
Yeah. You've also been a great encouragement to young people as well. I mean, you're young anyway. I don't ask you how old you are, but you've been training a lot of people as well over the years.
Yeah, I mean, that brings me a lot of joy. I love to see other people succeed, to inspire as many people as I can, really, because it's them that's going to be sort of taking up the baton to do the next thing. And I think in this industry, it's a very closed door industry, and I think it's important to try and make it an open door industry, because I think even just sitting in a recording session or watching a dress rehearsal take place, you can learn more just watching that than you can 2 years in a classroom sometimes. So I think those opportunities are very important.
And you've done a lot of work at Abbey Road Studios recently.
Absolutely, a lot of albums at Abbey Road. We did the collaborations with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, all of those albums, starting with the Elvis album, If I Can Dream, which we did about 4 or 5 years ago. We took all of Elvis's original tracks, took everything off, left his vocal, and put the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra on top. And Elwyn and I did a lot of those orchestrations, and the album did really, really well. It was the best-selling album of 2015 in the UK, and we swiftly followed that up with some more Elvis records. Roy Orbison, Beach Boys. I'm not sure how much longer we can continue to use that model, but we're going to do our best. But Abbey Road is it's a fantastic place to work. My dad worked there years ago in the early 70s, so it's lovely to go there. And there's still some people there that were there from that time. There's a man called Lester Smith, the head of microphones, who would you go up to and say, "Oh yes, this is the microphone that John Lennon used in this song." And absolutely, yeah, and that's a great place to record.
And you've been working recently with another amazing name who it's been an idol of mine for years, and that's Shirley Bassey.
Dame Shirley, absolutely, yes. I was with her a few days ago down in Monaco, and we are doing what's called routining at the moment. So we're going through some songs for her new album, which is going to be out later this year, in the last quarter of the year. So it's working with her, seeing what she wants to do, and then in the spring we'll go into recording. So we're sort of in the early stages of working all that out at the moment, yeah.
I mean, your life since a baby really has been music. You couldn't do anything else, could you?
No, I like to take time away from it. I mean, it's.
What do you do when you take time away?
Well, I like flying, so I enjoy looking at planes very much, and YouTube videos of planes and flying, which is completely different. I think it's really important when you're so immersed in one thing the whole time, to have hobbies and things outside of that, because it means when you come back to it, you're refreshed, I suppose.
What are we going to see at Hurst? What are you going to be doing, and who? Yes, you mentioned already. Your other partner is at Hurst with you. What else is happening?
So Hurst is going to be a cross section of different things. I'm going to be featuring some of the Royal Philharmonic projects. I'll be doing some solo things, but I'm also featuring some current Hurst talent as well. So some of the students that are currently at the college. There's some wonderful singers. There, a wonderful piano player who goes up to the Royal College and junior department at the weekend. So she's going to come and play something. So I think it's important, again, thinking about those, giving back and giving them the platform to perform. But yeah, a cross-section of things: classical, jazz. Martin and I will be doing some musical theatre things, and we might finish with a bit of Elton or something.
Why not? As you would, of course. The other thing is Les Mis. There's another place in your heart, I guess. You've worked a long time on Les Mis.
Yeah, absolutely. I see it's a show that I've always seemed to be sort of connected with. The most recent production I did was about 3 years ago in Jersey, where Cameron McIntosh gave us the license to do the full production, which something that very, very rarely happens. And we did it at Jersey Opera House. It was a great success. But now, of course, it's gone on to a new level. I mean, it's the concert versions come out. Michael Ball and Alfie Boe were recently starring in the London version. So I think it's a show that's never going to die. I think that one's going to carry on forever.
Yeah. Now, as a musician, you've seen a lot of changes over the years, and I know your parents have seen a lot of changes over the years. We know that pit orchestras the orchestra that plays at West End musicals have had to reduce their numbers over the years. Are you in favour of this? Because they moved to a lot of recorded music, haven't they?
I think, well, the Musicians' Union motto is keep music live, and I think that goes against that. But then again, funding is very, very difficult. Producers are taking less risks on new writers, which means that when a new show comes out, it has to start with a small number of players. Now we're seeing what's called actor musos as well, so actors and singers that also play musical instruments, which I suppose from a marketing point of view is great, but from a producer's point of view, it's just keeping the costs down. But yeah, I mean, Phantom of the Opera, I think, don't quote me, but I think it's still the biggest orchestra in London at 22 players. Les Mis is a little bit smaller. I mean, some shows you need these big symphonic sounds, and that requires string players, whereas the rock and roll shows you can get away with a small number in the pit. So, and space is obviously an issue as well in a lot of these old Victorian houses, because they were built as playhouses rather than big theatres.
Didn't Les Mis reduce their orchestra size at one time?
Well, that was a long time ago. When it moved to the Queen's Theatre, when it left the Palace, because the Palace was a big theatre.
It's falling down.
Well, yeah. But Queen's was small, and they made this move to computerise some of it. There was a lot of controversy in the music world, and eventually it then sort of moved out again into a sort of more symphonic sound, which is what we're seeing now, which is great.
Wonderful. So your next project is, apart from Hearst, Shirley Bassey album. You're going on another cruise ship, because you do the Cunard, you do the Queen ships over the years. Anything else? You've got a chance to have a rest?
I want to have a rest. The Shirley Bassey project is going to be a long, drawn-out thing. It'll probably be something that takes up most of the year, on and off. And then in between that, I will try and fit some other bits and pieces in. I'm also recording my own album at the moment as well, which is something that I've never done. But I sort of thought, well, all these arrangements that I play in my live shows, I want to commit these to recording. So there's a beautiful studio in North London with a wonderful Steinway piano. And I've done one session there, which was brilliant. Brilliant engineer as well there. So I want to do some more. And then over this year, build up some recording for a record, yeah.
Lovely. Dominic Ferris, thank you so much. Good luck for the future. Thank you for joining us today. And you can catch, of course, Dominic on February the 29th at the Newberry Theatre. That's Hurstpierpoint College. I'm Mike Mendoza for latest TV News.